Morning. We're going to have an environment at 10:30 p.m. tonight. Just so you do it, I'll let you know when it is. Right.
Good morning, both. Nick, I'll start with you if you don't mind. Chance to make a little bit of history this weekend with the cup double.
Yeah, I think I say all the time that every competition we play in, we play to win. We're disappointed in the outcome of the league, but we're proud of our form this year, and especially after last year not picking up a trophy, we were really proud to win the first one available in the League Cup, the Continental Cup, and then to fight for the FA Cup at Wembley. We're really excited for the game.
How important is it for you as the manager to deliver trophies?
I think personally it's important for myself to be the head coach of a team that continues to play well and win. I've said before, here at Manchester City, it's not about isolating individual trophies, it's about continuing to be successful, and for us domestically to be up there challenging for trophies. And I said before the semi-final, I'm most proud that in the 6th season of being the head coach here, we've competed for all the trophies available. The league's gone all the way down to 2 games to go. We've won the Continental Cup and we've won the FA Cup, and next season will be no different. I'll put myself under pressure to continue to be the best coach I can be every day, to push the players to improve individually and collectively.
Is that the same from the players' point of view, Steph, that drive to deliver trophies and the pressure on yourselves?
Yeah, I think for me, the squad of players that we have, we want to win, and whether that's a normal game on a Sunday, a league game, or a cup final that comes Saturday, I think a lot of us came to this club to go and win trophies and to be part of FA Cup finals, and we've experienced one previously. I've experienced FA Cup finals myself with other clubs, so for me going into Saturday we have to deliver a trophy, and I think that's the pressure that we put on ourselves at the beginning of the season, is to be competing in these finals and hopefully bringing a trophy back to Manchester.
The suggestion is already that it could be a pretty big crowd at Wembley, maybe beating the previous record at that stadium, maybe setting a record for a women's game in this country. How proud would that make you as the captain of England to lead your team out in such an environment?
Yeah, I mean, look, to be able to be playing in FA Cup finals at Wembley stadiums, obviously a dream come true, and for English football and women's football in this country, it's important that we do play in the best stadiums, and for me Wembley is the best in this country, so to hear that potentially is going to be a record-breaking crowd come Saturday, as players you want to be playing in them in kind of environments in front of them fans, and hopefully we can put on a pretty good final.
And we've seen some huge crowds across Europe as well, haven't we, for league games as well. So does it show how big the game is growing, and in particular for an English game to have such an attendance too? Yeah,
I think over the last few years, I think we're all sitting here thinking how big can this game get, and how big in women's football in England can it get, and I think there's been so much progression. I think you speak about the attendances in places in Europe that have getting unbelievable crowds to come and watch players play, and I think for us here, especially at this club, we want to sustain them crowds, but when it does get to the big finals, to be able to get in potentially 50,000, I think it just shows how much women's football interest there is here.
Hi Steph, hi Nick. Steph, just on the final and what it means, are we, you touched on it there, but are we really starting to see the women's game properly take off now?
Yeah, I think obviously there's so many watershed moments in the last few years. I think 2012 Olympics, playing at Wembley, 70,000 people, I think that was definitely the turning point. I think success also brings interest in terms of if the England team do well in the World Cup like we did previously in 2015, that generates crowds. And I think for me, I think the next 3 years are so exciting for women's football in this country. We've got the World Cup coming up in a month and a half. We've got the Olympics potentially next year, and another home Euros in 2021. So for me, I think we need to continue being the best that we can be in this country and getting the people through the gates.
You've had an amazing season. How much are you fueled, I don't know if this is the right way to put it, by remaining unbeaten in the league and just missing out?
Yeah, I mean, if you know what I'm like as a person, I want to win, and I want to win every trophy that's available. And for me, I take pride in not getting beat and making sure that we do remain unbeaten. And of course, we come close to Arsenal, and congratulations to Arsenal, they thoroughly deserve to win the league. But I think for us, we need to go into Saturday wanting to win, and when we go to Arsenal, we want to do the same again, and we want to take pride and then look forward to the next season after.
What do you make of the mixture of the team? Because you've got some young players, some young hungry players, and more experienced players like you and Jill Scott and so on.
I think for us as a squad, I think especially over the last 5 years, I've been here since the beginning, and that was the type of squad I wanted to be involved in. I don't think you can just solely rely on experienced players, but I don't think you can solely rely on younger players coming through. And for the likes of me, Jill, Karen Bardsey, we've seen the likes of Georgia Stanway, Kira Walsh, and we've helped them along the way to become the team we are today. But they've done that themselves as well in terms of trying to develop themselves to be the best that they can be. And I think you look at Kira, she's played over 100 games for this club, and she's going to be the future for a number of years. But I think within the squad, I'm happy that we've been successful this year, and hopefully we can bring more success on Saturday.
You feeling confident?
Yeah, I'm feeling confident. Obviously, I'm confident with my team. I think we've played well this season. I think we probably don't get the just rewards that we've worked so hard for this season. And for me, I'm very confident that we can go on the final. And as long as we go through the same process that we've done for every single game this season, I think we've got a great chance of winning that trophy.
Nick, is there any danger of complacency? Because you scored 10 goals against West Ham in the 2 league games, beat them pretty comfortably.
I think in football there's always a danger of complacency. You know, you like myself have seen those FA Cup games and FA Cup finals and football matches where the so-called underdog has beaten the team that everyone perceives should win. But for me, my job is to coach this team and to make sure that this team doesn't become complacent whenever they play, whatever people say. And I think we've done that very well this season in the sense of we haven't lost the game. And you know, as the head coach, I'm the guy that has to look at why we play well and why we don't play well and why we pick up results and why we don't. And that's all we'll do for this game, is prepare the team to play a difficult game. We know for sure that the 7-1 game here isn't a true reflection of West Ham. Yeah, we were good on the day, but they were probably really disappointed in their performance. The 3-1 game when we played them at Rush Green, at 2-1, they'll feel like they were in the game. So we know that it's going to be a difficult game. It's an FA Cup final, and a one-off game means that anybody can win. And if we were going into a game as the underdogs against a perceived bigger team, we would feel we can win. We'll leave all of that for you guys to write, and we'll make sure that we do what we can to make sure that we can play well, which is what we've always done over the last 6 years and what we feel has gave us the best opportunity to be successful and hopefully continue to be successful.
Cheers, Nick.
Steph, you've spoken about the development of the women's game and the potential for the crowd on Saturday, but West Ham did ask the Premier League if they could have their Premier League game moved so fans could attend their Premier League game and get to the Cup final, and the Premier League refused that. What's your feeling about that? Do you think there needs to be more help from the authorities in the men's game to try and give the women's game a bit of a lift?
I think obviously not knowing too much about the situation, obviously it would have been great if the game could have been potentially moved earlier so that we can try and get as many fans to come to Wembley to watch the final. Whether they're West Ham fans or not, I think that's something to do with the FA and the Premier League in terms of it is probably a little bit short notice when we'd finished our semi-finals who probably was going to be in the final. But for us, no matter what, as long as there's people coming to watch the games and we are trying to break record attendances, as players you want to be playing in front of them crowds.
And when you're in the dressing room, you've obviously vastly experienced, but in the back of your mind, is that 7-1 still there? Because if you beat a team 7-1, really, there's no reason why you shouldn't beat them on Saturday.
No, because the game after that, we won 3-1. So for me, I'm always thinking about the last game, and it probably wasn't our best performance, but we controlled a lot of the game in probably difficult conditions down there. So for me, I think kind of to echo what Nick said in terms of we've been there when we've been an underdog. We played our first Continental Cup final when nobody ever expected us to win, and we came back to Manchester with the Continental Cup. So for me, I've been on two sides of being the favourite and being probably the underdog, and we won't take them for granted, definitely not. I respect West Ham for the journey that they've been on this season and the players that they have as part of their squad. And for me as a captain and for the rest of the experience and the rest of the squads, we have to make sure that we're on it, and we have to go and give our best performance that we can.
You mentioned the Olympics, and I remember the Olympics and the big crowds and the atmosphere. Is it the big games like the Olympics, like cup finals, that is what will push the women's game forward? Because clearly you can hit an audience both in the stadium and on TV that you wouldn't necessarily get through the Women's Super League.
Yeah, I think for me, I think these are prestigious events that happen throughout the season, and as a player you always look at the beginning of the season when the FA Cup final is, because it's such a unbelievable competition, and it's well renowned throughout the world, not just in England. And for me, I think finals are special. They don't happen very often, and for us as players to be a part of that, and for us as an English FA, and for us as football clubs here in England, I think it's important that we do promote these finals and we showcase the best of the best throughout England, whether that's at Wembley itself or it's on TV.
Nick, in terms of your squad, you've obviously got a lot of good players. Nikita was named FWA Player of the Year this week. Do you think that's an award that is well deserved?
Yeah, I think ultimately, if you're a striker and you're touching 20 goals a season, you're doing your job for the team and you're helping your team win. She's been exceptional this year, Keats, and we've probably gone through the process that we've gone through with all of our younger players in development, in having those years of, listen, we sign players from teams that aren't consistently successful, and then we put a huge expectation and a huge responsibility on them to continue this football club being successful. And the likes of Keats and Georgia Stanway and Kira Walsh and all of those young players use the likes of Steph and the senior players to help this team become successful. Nikita Paris this year has been the one player in our offensive line that has consistently added goals and big goals. And if you have a player like that, you can be successful as a team. And in the end, if you're that type of player, you get individual awards and the recognition of hard work, of dedication, and of real, ambition and hunger.
With people like Steph, can the women's game have Steph, Keats as role models that deal with attention in the same way that the men's game gets attention?
Yeah, of course. I think they're just normal people, just like the guys that play in our men's first team are. Of course, they've got a huge expectation and a responsibility to be role models. They've got huge talent. That's why they play at the level that they play at. These girls are no different. They're incredible people, and that's why I enjoy working with them every day, and they deserve every bit of accolades they get, whether it be on or off the pitch, because the dedication, the reason I love this job, and I've always loved this job, is because as a coach, I've said it before, all you want to do is work with players that want to improve and that want to dedicate themselves to the game and being the best they can be. And across the 6 seasons that I've been here, I personally have been very fortunate to work with players that just want to come here and be the best they can be every day. And the trophies are a byproduct of that.
How important is it to keep her at the club, bearing in mind you're winning trophies and trying to kind of establish yourself not just amongst the elite in England but in Europe as well?
It's imperative that we keep our best players here. Every season we want to be better. I've said it from 2014 to now. My job is to show progress with this team, and of course no one can always win, but progress for us is on and off the pitch, and players like Nikita Paris add to that. We're just as proud this season of winning the Continental Cup and having the opportunity to win the FA Cup as we are in Georgia Stanway, in Kira Walsh, in Abby McManus, getting England debuts, in Ellie Roebuck playing England seniors, in Nikita Paris breaking records, in Steph Houghton. It's all part of the job. Success is on and off the pitch, and keeping those players that continue to want to improve is imperative to this team progressing.
Morning, Nick. Morning, Steph. Nick, slightly boring one to kick off with, but everyone fit and healthy for Saturday?
Yeah, I've said it over the last 6 months. This period, from a squad point of view, has been the best I've had in 6 seasons. We've had everybody fit. We've had slight niggles here and there, but once we got Pauline Bramer and Megan Campbell back, we've had virtually a fit squad. And for the FA Cup final, we've got everyone to select from. And listen, like I said, my job is to build the process and to manage the strategy. And we made some changes in the summer of last year in the off season, and we're seeing the fruits of that from a from a fitness and a freshness level of the squad.
You said last year Champions League obviously made it hard for you to get the players on the training pitch between weekend games. Last year, obviously, the squad seemed to burn out a little bit towards the end. How different do you feel the squad is at this time this year physically compared to last year?
Yeah, so much better because we've had less games, but also because we've made changes in our staffing structure and in our infrastructure, and we changed our operation a little bit in the working week. We made some changes. I said at the end of last season when people, make it out to be a big catastrophe, that it's just about looking at we're a team. We've been 5 seasons old. We're always learning. We had to look at areas where we had to improve and change, and we did that, and we've bared the fruits of that. We'll do exactly the same in the off-season this year. We'll look at why we didn't win the league, because really, we should have won the league. We drew 5 games, and we haven't lost a game. But that's okay, because we're 6 seasons old now. We have to learn and improve every year, and being in a better position now than we were last year shows that we've made progress.
And in terms of West Ham, obviously, Matt Beard, a manager you know well, first ever manager you came up against in the WSL. You know what it's like to build a squad from scratch like he's done this year. Just how impressive is it for them to get to the FA Cup final in the first season? Yeah,
I think the hardest thing to do in the WSL, and probably it's harder now than when we did it in 2014, is to form a team from nothing. They've done an exceptional job of recruiting a team, putting it into the WSL and being competitive, and getting to an FA Cup final is huge recognition of that. I have respect for Matt, huge respect for him. He's the only coach in my tenure that's ever won the league back to back. So we know that we'll come up against a difficult team, but we've played difficult teams this year. We've been through difficult times, and we've been through times that we've enjoyed. We've just got to make sure we stick to the process, and we just make sure that we do what we've done all season to continue giving us the opportunity to win.
And Steph, obviously, these occasions don't come around often in the women's game to play at Wembley, but you've been there with Man City, with England, and with Team GB. But just compared to 2 years ago when it was the first time for this team, have you felt a different atmosphere this week in terms of a calmness around this, but because you've been there and kind of experienced it now?
I think personally, yeah, a little bit more calm than I probably was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
A little bit more experienced, a little bit older, but I think excitement as well. I think there's a lot of players that haven't played at Wembley before, haven't played in the FA Cup final. Look at Lauren Hemp, and I don't think she's ever even been to Wembley. So I think for us as a squad, we're excited. We're excited to get on the training pitch yesterday, get going with our preparation for Saturday. But I think, as you said, these don't come around often, and for me, I'm always thinking, okay, take the opportunity when it comes, and we've got a massive opportunity on Saturday to first and foremost win a game of football, but at the same time enjoy a day, because these days are unbelievable and forever etched in your memory in your career as players and as staff.
I mean, you've achieved some things in your career, whether that was winning the first Conti Cup with Man City, winning the league, obviously captaining England, scoring at Wembley with Team GB. Where did walking up those steps and lifting the FA Cup rank in terms of what you've achieved? Yeah,
it's up there. That year was pretty special to win a treble and to go unbeaten and to lift the league trophy here. But I think obviously Wembley, it's so historic. Walking up them stairs and being able to lift an FA Cup was a special day for us, for the team, for the staff, but also for our families as well. We spent a lot of time away from them, and to have everybody come down to Wembley this Saturday, hopefully it'll be a great occasion.
Embargo for 10:30 p.m.